So in Florida, while there was the race between Ron DeSantis and Andrew Gillum, very, very high profile race, which didn't turn out very well for Andrew Gillum, unfortunately. However, there was a ballot measure on the Florida ballot that actually did very, very well, and that's very deeply progressive. Now, this was Amendment 4, and what it would do is that it would restore voting rights for 1.4 million state residents with past felony convictions who were barred from participating in elections for life. So the way Florida law worked is, hey man, you get a felony, that's it, you're done. Doesn't matter if you served your time, doesn't matter if you've repaid your debt to society, we're going to take away your vote forever. Now, we know the criminal justice system and how it unfairly targets more African American people. That has a huge effect on voter turnout. That has a huge impact on the election cycle. So what Amendment 4 did, again, passed by the voters of Florida, maybe even some of the same ones that voted for Ron DeSantis, would give those people their right back. And, of course, this won. Now, Public Citizen said, not only does this repeal one of the country's worst Jim Crow laws, it's also the largest expansion in voting rights since the Voting Rights Act, which was enacted in 1965. That ballot measure got over 64% of all voters. And that's when it was at a 60% threshold. It's actually probably higher now. But it restores the rights for most felons who have fully completed their sentences. Now, it does not extend to those with murder or sex crime convictions, so that's important to know for the details. So that is a fantastic ballot measure that actually goes to expand people's rights. And so that is excellent. Now, in my neck of the woods, I live in Michigan, so we had some ballot measures as well that did very well. And one of them had to do with expanding voting rights here in my state. Now, it would give same-day registration or same-day voting registration and expand ballot access. There was also one that would fight gerrymandering to make sure that people were able to be represented in Congress. So those are two excellent ballot measures. And the third in Michigan was legalizing recreational marijuana, which I'm hoping will lead to another amendment or another ballot measure that would actually lead to the expunging of records of people who were arrested when there was marijuana prohibition. So those are just a few examples of some of the fantastic ballot measures that actually passed around this country. So now it is interesting to see these progressive policies, these progressive ballot measures winning in these places, yet Democrats, who are more likely to represent and support the aims of these ballot measures, lose in the same states. It is very, very strange how this works. And look, I don't know necessarily the reasons of why certain voters do vote in certain ways, but at least in a lot of these states where you have progressive ballot measures that win, well, we've had some victories. And so last night, while it wasn't perfect, was actually a pretty decent night when it comes to voting and to people's rights. So I'm glad to see that people who, were disenfranchised this time be able to have their voting rights restored, because every American deserves the right to vote. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.